today is the 6th of November 2003. My name is Rosa Korowska, and this interview is for the Ming-ai London Institute British Chinese Workforce Heritage Project. So, can I begin by asking your name?
My name is Johnny Lui.
And could you tell me something about your family?
I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and I am the youngest in the family. And one of my brothers immigrated to Canada, the other one in Australia, and one of my sisters in Singapore, the other one in Hong Kong.
And what work did your mother and father do?
They both passed away. When, particularly my father, he passed away when I was 11. My mum passed away about 20 years ago.
And what were they employed as when they?
My mum was a housewife, and my father was a barber.
And what education did you have?
When I left school, I just completed my secondary education in Hong Kong. And when I came over to the UK, I did 2 more years in the college.
What did you study in college?
I studied criminal law in the college.
And then, what did you do before you joined the army?
When I left school, and then I worked as an office assistant. An office has what they call in the old days like an office boy. Has the most junior sort of like class in an office. For 2 years before I joined the army.
And so then, when and where did you join?
I joined in 1977, and I joined the British Army in Hong Kong.
And what motivated you?
At the time, and we were looking for kind of more secure employment, and British Army at the time was one of them.
So can you describe your first impressions or your first day with the army?
To be really honest with you, I mean, I didn't know what the British Army was like, even when I applying to join. My first day was kind of a big surprise to me, and it was a lot of people, and a lot of sort of like young guys together, and then my intake was about 45 strong, and I was one of them, and pretty scared at the time as a young boy, and then didn't know what would happen next. That's actually how I felt on my first day.
And did you make some good friends in those?
During my army career, particularly in Hong Kong, I made a lot of friends, which we still keep in contact with. And I would say at least, if not 200, we at least 199. We still keep in touch with. And some of them, they're still in Hong Kong. Some of them, they're in the UK. Some of them, they sort of like in other part of the world.
And while you were in the army, which ranks did you hold?
When I left the army, I was a warrant officer class 2 in 1997.
And what training did you receive?
I attend many courses, and then some of them I really want to mention here. One is the basic provost course, which is a basic, like a military policeman's course, to become a military policeman. The other one is the basic investigation course, and the other one is the senior investigation course, and also the last but not least is the senior crime officers course.
And you received a medal for...
during my career, army career in Hong Kong, I was awarded Long Service and Good Conduct Medal and the Golden Jubilee Medal. Not when I was in Hong Kong, sorry, I beg your pardon. When I was in Hong Kong, during my army service in Hong Kong, I was awarded Long Service and Good Conduct Medal. But when we enlisted back into the British Army, when I was in the UK, I was awarded Golden Jubilee.
What was it like receiving the Good Conduct Medal? How did you feel?
Very, very proud of it. And what we call the 15 odd years undetected crime. So I have a very clean record for the first 15 years. Very proud of it. Not many people, or not many sort of like soldiers would get it. Not even senior officers. Because you need to have 15 years clean record.
So that means no,
not being a naughty boy.
Yeah. That was great. Now, just to ask about your time in service in Hong Kong, could you describe a typical day?
When I was serving with the Hong Kong Military Service Corps, for the first 3 years, I served as an armed guard. And that was basically providing physical armed guarding. But when I transferred to the military police, and one of the typical days, I really want to say something. It was very interesting as well, because when we become kind of independent investigator, we need to be on call, on duty, and normally it's over a weekend. And in Hong Kong, normally really, really sort of like peaceful. I'm not saying quiet, but really, really peaceful. Which means is virtually you have your mobile phone on you, you have your pager on you, but it will stay silent for the whole weekend. Nothing would normally happen. We'll trigger that off. But that particular sort of like weekend, and I remember that was kind of 4 o'clock in the afternoon when all my seniors, all the officers just about to move into what we call the gate room. Gate has a gate. The gate room in the SIB means a small bar, because we do enjoy a bit of a happy hour, and it's kind of a British tradition. Have a few drinks at the end of the week, and I was getting myself ready to have my first drink. Although even I was on duty, we allowed to have at least 1 pint before we go home. In the old day, we talk about 20 odd years ago, and my pager went off, and obviously because I was on duty, obviously I have to respond to it. And the first one was in moving fire. And because I was also a qualified senior crime examiner, and it started off from about, by the time we got to the particular area, and I started off do what I have to do as a senior crime examiner, and then I finished about 2 o'clock when I finished the whole examination on my own, just on my own, and then I went back to my office to produce what I have to produce as an evidence, and because my second in command demands sort of like they want to be informed as the first thing on the desk Saturday morning. So I thought by the time I finished everything else, my report and my evidence, at least everything else, there was about 5 o'clock. And when I just on my way home, putting everything else on my 2 IC's desk, on my way home, my pages went off again. And there was another one just a couple of hours ago before I even knew about it. And then obviously this one was even more serious because they were talking about sort of like injuries. So I have to go to the hospital to start with to have a look at the actual victim. And then I move on to the local police station to liaise with the local police officer. And by the time I get everything out, collate all the information, put everything on piece of paper, it was about 7 o'clock at night, and I thought that was it. And then not until another one, my pager went off again. So there was another one talking about sort of like someone involved, a soldier involved in an accident, a traffic accident, and so there was another sort of like a very long process of going around to the hospital, liaising with the local police. The reason why I had to deal with it because 2 of them I mentioned talking about sort of like, because that's a very serious, and that was the only time I constantly worked from 5 o'clock. From 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon until Monday morning, non-stop. That was one of the typical days. I enjoy it, but that was very hard work. Being a military policeman,
yeah.
There was. Even I look back, I said, well, okay, how could I actually manage to get it all done on my own? And.
How did you manage to stay awake?
I think I'm not a Superman, but at the time you kind of sort of like just kind of carry on to do it. By the time I was very, very tired, but you just kind of carry on to try to get it all finished, and you just didn't think. But you didn't think sort of like you were very, very tired because you had to carry on, and then everything sort of like we have a deadline to meet, so everything sort of like we have to do it. We have to get everything done before sort of like at least what we call the initial report. All the initial reports to be done in time for my senior to be able to look at it. So that was I think that was to be honest with you. But now I look back, how could I manage to stay awake? It was a miracle for me. Maybe because I was young. I don't know. I don't know whether I would be able to do it nowadays. I don't know. But that was one of the typical days when I served as a member of the military police.
And so, what was that? Was that very different to the military service, the Hong Kong Military Service Corps?
Hong Kong Military Service Corps is part of the British Army, Hong Kong military corps, a service corps, is mainly dealing with sort of like serve as a kind of normal soldier, normal soldiering, do what a normal soldier would do, like training, exercise, sort of like guarding. This is what a normal soldier would do. As a military policeman, we do very similar to like a local police. And for me, it was a challenge. It was a big challenge, but it was very rewarding challenge.
So you would work with the Hong Kong local police?
At the time, yes, we had a lot of dealing with the not only the local police, we had a lot of dealings with the immigration service, with the prison service, with the fire service, and with the Customs and Excise service, because army just like another sort of like another world of a civilian world. We have everything else. We have good guys and we have bad guys, and they do everything similar to what we see in the civilian world. So it was a good experience. I enjoy it. Even I if I had the opportunity, I would go back.
And later you moved to work with the military provost guard service in the UK. Can you tell us something about that work?
I mean, military provost guard service is part of the military police family, but military guard service has its sounds, providing sort of like physical armed guarding of an MOD establishment. Armed guarding means sort of like controlling or controlling the security of that particular establishment for the protection of whoever inside the perimeter fence. That's what is basically it's all about. Yeah.
And what led to you moving to the UK for this job?
One of the reasons is because of the Hong Kong was being handed over back to China. And we weren't allowed to stay on to serve in the British Army, because the British Army withdrawn from Hong Kong back to the UK. So that was one of the reasons, because I had to find another job. And the second reason is, during my army career in Hong Kong, I had a lot of opportunity to come over to the UK to do various courses, as well as doing what I have to do as a military policeman. And I do know pretty well of some of the county in the UK. And my children were young; they were really young. So we were kind of talking about whether we should start our new life in a new area. Eventually, obviously, we make a decision. That's why we came to the UK.
And where did you work in the UK?
I first started my army career in the UK in Winchester, in a place in an army corps in an army camp called Worthy Down. That's where I first started my army career, and then I moved on to another barracks, also within Winchester area, and then I moved over. I posted to another sort of like another place. That was a naval establishment in Portsmouth area, where I sort of like I stayed on until I was discharged.
And how did serving with the Guard Service in the UK differ from your experience in Hong Kong?
I think that's not much different, because when I was in Hong Kong serving with the military, for example, in particular, my colleagues they were British, and exactly the same as when I enlisted into the British Army here. My colleagues, they were British. It's not much different, apart from different area. That's all.
And did your children were young at the time? Did they enjoy?
Oh yeah, they enjoy very much, because at the time we were thinking about sort of like we put it as a kind of a trial period for a couple of years, and after first 6 months, and we were sort of like having a sort of like a family sort of like discussion about sort of like what we should do, whether we should actually stay on in the UK or we should actually go back to Hong Kong. And then the first thing my daughter was saying is, I'm not going back, same as my son. And mainly is the education side of it. In Hong Kong, the student, they had a lot of homework to do. After school, they have maybe 4 or 5 hours homework to do. In the UK, they have nothing. Even nowadays, they have very little. They have very little homework to do. But in Hong Kong, when you finish your class, when you finish your school about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you will have another 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 hours homework to do. So they love it, because they have got no homework to do.
During your military career, both in Hong Kong and in the UK, is there any particular experiences that sort of stand out to you that you'd like to talk about?
I would like to say I've been serving with the British Army. They give me a lot of opportunity to see other part of the world. This is one thing, and to learn different things, which I wouldn't have the opportunity if I were doing a different type of job. Only British Army would give me this kind of sort of like opportunities to learn something completely different, even you doing more or less the same job, which is I enjoy very much.
So would you say the travel and the learning is your favourite part of the job?
Traveling and the learning, and obviously, I mean, the working as well. And for me, it's challenging, but it's really sort of like rewarding. I mean, when you look back, you say, well, okay, sometimes I said to myself, how did you manage to get all this done on your own, particular sort of like that particular weekend I told you about earlier?
So we were just talking about the positive aspects of the army. Were there any negative aspects? Did you receive any harassment, bullying?
For me, I mean, I don't know whether that was. For me, I have not. I can put my hand on my heart. I've not seen any. I have seen bullying. I mean, the bullying is from other people's eyes. They see it because people raising their voice, and because people sort of like the way they treat other people. But the way I see it may not be 100% correct. But different people would have a different attitude towards different kind of things, different people. Sometimes they probably, because that's the nature of them. You can't change them. But I have not seen any really sort of like, what should I say, really aggressive to me or to any other people. I have not seen any really sort of like desperate, very aggressive to one particular individual because of the color of the skin. Let's put it this way. Because even I'm a Chinese. I can't change that. And I've not seen anybody actually come up to me and say, because you are Chinese, I don't like you. I have never touched with it. I have never come across with anything like this so far. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe no negative things, but what do you think about your colleagues were mostly British? How did your Chinese heritage affect your working relations with them?
To be honest, I mean, we were working together pretty well. I would say it's really good. I mean, not because I'm not saying that there weren't any negative things, but they are very trivial for me the way I see it. And I think in overall, I mean, our working relationship between the Chinese, Hong Kong Chinese, and the British, when I was in Hong Kong, were good. Particularly towards the end of kind of from the 90s. When I first started, I had very little dealing with the British because I was lower on the ground as a private soldier. When I moved up the ladder, and when I had a bit more dealing with them, and they kind of, I mean, maybe I was lucky at the time, but they kind of look after me more than sort of like I look after them. Let's put it this way.
And in terms of, apart from your colleagues, in terms of moving to the UK, how did you find the life here, or for your family, how did they find the transition?
For me, that's finding a job has always, no matter where you go, is no matter where you are, it's always difficult, particularly you with your age. And when I was in Hong Kong, obviously I was in the British Army, and then I didn't have to look for another job. But when I came over here, after at the end of June '97, I found it a little bit difficult to find a job because of I don't know what to look for. Not because I don't have the experience or the level of my education. I think at the time I had what they were looking for. I just didn't know how to offer myself to them. And to be honest, I mean, because I came over here, and I don't know whether I was lucky. I mean, one of my British colleagues sort of like not actually holding my hand and actually just giving me sort of like kind of hints to know what to look for things, which even now I appreciate what he did to me. He gave me kind of sort of like, right, you should do this to offer yourself. You should be able to get this job. Kind of. Eventually, I got my job. I got what I really were looking for anyway. So I was happy. I'm really happy. I mean, the only thing I wasn't quite happy, if you don't mind me talking about just a little bit more, is about the British citizenship. I think that's a very hot topic sort of like been a hot topic for a very long time, and particularly in the last couple of years, is I was given British passport, same as all the others, and but not everybody managed to get a passport for some reason, and I don't know why. I mean, we should all be given the opportunity.
I mean, everyone working for the
British Army, yeah, or working for the British government before '97 should be given the opportunity. But not everybody. Were given the opportunity. Not everyone was given the. Some of it, yes, particularly sort of like people serving in the British Army.
So
but not everyone.
Do you recall what sort of percentage or what proportion of the army was given citizenship in this?
For the overall Hong Kong citizens, 50,000 families, including sort of like the police, or the fire service, the prison service, Customs and Excise, immigration, and other civil servants working for British government, as well as the Chinese naval personnel. They were serving with the Royal Navy and British Army. Altogether, we were only 50,000 families.
And do you know why they selected these families?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I feel I was given the opportunity, same as the others anyway. We fill in the form, we put it in, and then they're going through all this process. And one thing I was aware of is they were talking about sort of the length of service. You were working or serving with the Hong Kong government. That was one of the main things. If you were only did it for maybe a couple of years, obviously you got less chance than people like been working for over 20 years. I think that was one of sort of like the thing they would look at to decide whether you should be given a passport or not. But I don't know the ins and outs.
That's interesting. And so, just the last one on the military. What was your salary during your time with the British Army?
To be honest with you, I cannot remember the exact figure, but in compare with the civilians, I was not bad. With my as a warrant officer, I was my salary was kind of, I would say, in the middle. Not in the middle. What should I say? Would be kind of like a, I don't know. What should I say? Probably about 1,000, nearly 2,000 pounds a month, average. In the old days, as a warrant officer.
That's good.
Not bad, as average, yeah, as a warrant officer, yes. £2,000 in the old days, about £2,000.
Okay. So now we're going to just turn to some of your sort of personal experiences. We talked a little about your friends, but has there been any of your close friends or your comrades or even your superior officers who had a great impact on you, a great effect on you in your time?
As I say, I think touch wood again. I mean, I have to say, sort of like I I have to say thank you to all of them, because rather than I was looking after them, but they were looking after me. In fact, I mean, all my Hong Kong colleagues as well as British colleagues, and I think we had a very good sort of like a brotherhood kind of thing. That's the good thing about in the army, and we don't have all this animosity. To be honest, I've never come across any animosity in my little group, in my little sort of like kind of maybe a section, maybe my company, in the sort of like in the military term. And I'm not saying everybody sort of like you go to them, they would welcome you with open hands, open arms, but they are kind of more like willing to offer their assistance. I mean, I still have lots of sort of like my friends, even nowadays, including sort of like obviously the Hong Kong Chinese as well as British, and they're in here. Maybe still some of them they're still in Hong Kong.
That's great. And about your personal attitude to work, what's your sort of work ethic, and where do you think this your approach comes from? Like maybe from your family or your friends or your training?
What should I say about this? I think I learned a lot about sort of like how to do things properly, and to overcome, particularly how to overcome minor issues. And I think even now, big problem will probably cause you, will drag you down big time. But the minor things will give you headaches. Little minor things will give you a headache. I think, been serving in the army, I learned a lot of things, how to overcome these minor, trivial things. Which once I sort these minor things out, there won't be any big problem, because there will be no problem, because minor thing, if you don't sort it out, will become bigger. So I mean, will probably come from my experience in the army, my family. Yeah.
And how has the being in the military affected your family relations? You obviously moved your family to the UK, but other than that, how do they see you as a member of the army?
I don't know whether what to say. Relationship between the army and my family. When I was in Hong Kong, I was there serving with the British Army. Although we from time to time had to go away to do exercises and courses, maybe work, but there won't be as long as kind of 6 months or 7 months. The longest I ever away from my family was 6 months, and the shortest was kind of maybe 2-3 weeks away from it. Not like nowadays, so like it had a lot of big sort of like side effect on the family, because most of the time the soldiers or servicemen had or have to go away for a very long time. But maybe I don't know whether I was lucky or not. But when I was in the army, most of the time I had to go away for 6 months. So my family, they suffer a bit, but because it's not that often. I think they were quite happy for me to be away from the family so they can have a break. without me.
Yeah. And so we'll okay, we should so let's just talk briefly about the remembrance ceremony. You're in London for that at the moment to go on the parade. Is that your first time to...
I have been to quite a few, mainly obviously when I was in Hong Kong, but mainly I attend all these Remembrance Day when I was in Hong Kong, nearly every single time, because that was part of our job. In the UK, I have to do the same. I mean, I would rather. What I'm trying to say is, it would be better to have not only one but two, rather than just one opportunity for all of us to get together, not only to see all our old colleagues, and to show our respect to the others who lost their lives, and should be at least more than one opportunity for us to get together to show our respect. But this is kind of a, so I've to be honest, I've never missed any this event, and but for this year, I will be doing it in a different uniform, because I'm a special constable. So I'll be wearing my police uniform instead of army uniform when I attend this Remembrance Day.
So last year you became a special constable?
Yeah, when I retire from the army.
And how has that changed your life since retiring?
Job-wise, I mean, obviously, now I'm a postman, and postman's job is very sort of like physical demanding. I mean, you know, postmen anyway. We start work at 6 o'clock and we don't finish until 5 o'clock. But since you walk into the office and don't even think about so like you're gonna have time to stop, because that was it. So you're gonna carry on until you finish. Very, very sort of like similar to what we do when I was in the army, because once we go on to do exercise, we kind of sort of like carry on until the whole exercise is over. And as a postman, it's more or less like this. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. But my spare time is as a special constable. I enjoy it, although obviously, it will take me a lot of my spare time as well. I always want to do something for the community.
What other things do you do in your spare time?
As a special constable.
And so, to talk about the remembrance ceremony, you've been for many years. For Hampshire.
Hampshire Police.
This is your warrant card for the Hampshire
Constabulary, yeah.
As a special constable.
As a special constable.
Okay. So does that mean that in the Hampshire district you have certain duties?
Yeah. I base in a station called Eastleigh. I base at Eastleigh Police Station.
And so in Eastleigh, what kind of duties do you carry?
I do, when I put my uniform on, I do exactly the same as a regular officer. Although we don't get paid for it, as you know, as a special constable, as a volunteer anyway. So, but job is quite challenging. But I mean, I see it's another challenge for me, because I really want to join as a police constable. But I don't know, but at this moment in time, I enjoy it. A different day, you did different thing. You did different. You see the same people, but always something different from that particular individual. Always the same person. They will give you something else you have to deal with. This part I enjoy, really enjoy. I just see the same person every time I put my uniform on, and that particular individual will give you, right, this today I have this problem, and yesterday was different. It's good. I love it because I just want to use my spare time to serve the community and to make a place as a more peaceful place for all to live, for all to enjoy.
And so we'll sort of wrap up the interview. So,
right.
Is there anything else that you've thought of about your time in the military, or since retiring, or about the Remembrance Day and your time in London? Is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
I mean, I enjoy my time in the British Army. I mean, I've said it many times. I mean, because of the opportunities within the British Army. And I don't think I would get it if I were doing something different. And not only because of the traveling, it's just because of the job nature, and also because of the my colleagues. And I work with not only Hong Kong Chinese, I work with the British, and I work with Canadian. I work with Australian soldiers. I mean, because they are visiting forces, and they visit Hong Kong, and then we have to work with them, and give me opportunity to kind of dealing with other people from other countries, to see how they do more or less similar work. This is I enjoy when I was in the army. When I left the army, and then I kind of missed the army a little bit, because obviously I've been in the army for over 30 odd years, and but the new challenge do give me sort of like a new way of look ahead, see what else I can do for what I have learned, and I can actually put into practice in a different type of working environment. And now I'm a kind of a special constable, which is give me kind of an opportunity to utilize my skills, because obviously in the old days I was a military police, but obviously there was a 10 years gap, and now I can actually use it. I mean, I start to remember, all right, this is how I did it at the time, this is how I would do it, this is how I have to do it as a police, as a civil police. And again, it's give me a challenge. I enjoy it. I enjoy every bit of it when I was in the army. I enjoy it when I'm working as a postman, and I enjoy it when I put my uniform on as a special constable. And the only thing is, as I mentioned to you, is about the opportunity to come over here for my other Hong Kong colleagues, and they should be given the opportunity. But we are fighting for it. We're working on it, and hopefully one day, and they will be given a passport, or given kind of an opportunity to apply for a passport. I think they deserve it. Seem like all the British soldiers, I mean, all my British colleagues, if they wanted to stay in Hong Kong, even nowadays, and they could go. They still have the opportunity. If they wanted to go and work in Hong Kong, they could go anytime. There isn't any restriction, no restrictions at all for any one of them. I don't know why. And then people they have served or they have worked for the UK government, now all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. It's just some kind of, why can't they be given the opportunity to come over here to work or to live? I think they should entitled to have these kind of things.
Well, I hope that that the fight for that goes well and continues.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, thank you so much for participating and doing an interview for us. It's amazing to have record your memories of your time.
My pleasure.
Fascinating.
Thank you.